Hello, everyone. Today I am going to be doing a little introduction to the new Office iPads. So I have one with me here today, and I'm going to do a quick walkthrough the outside and the inside, just kind of giving a little bit of an overview in case you have never worked with an iPad or an Apple product before. And even if you have, but it's been a long time, there is some new updates. So this is just going to kind of be a informational video. There will be training coming later on that will go more in depth on the specific apps that are loaded onto the iPad and what they will be used for. But like I said, today is just going to kind of be a basic overview to kind of introduce you to the iPad. So like I said, I have one here with me today. I'm going to first start by going over kind of the outside, the physical body of the iPad, and then I will jump in and actually show you some things on the inside, just some tips and tricks. So getting started here, we have the lovely iPad. It's very nice, very big, nice and easy to hold. So of course we have our front screen, which is just a flat screen. There's no buttons or anything on it. However, there is a camera built into the front. So if you hold it horizontally, you can kind of see up here at the very top underneath my fingernail, there is a little camera built in. So that is going to be great for if you are doing, video calls or anything like that. You do want to make sure that you kind of have the iPad held horizontally the way that I did, like this. That way they can really see you and you're not sideways in the call or anything like that. So that is a really nice feature to have. And there's also a little bit of a microphone there on the front as well. Moving to, I guess we'll do the back now since we just did the front. There is nothing too crazy on the back besides just this camera in the upper right-hand corner. So this is great for if you're trying to take a photo of something or scan something in, the camera works very well. So that is found right there on the top right corner. Moving along to the top of the iPad, you will notice that there is two clusters of dots, and those also appear on the bottom of the iPad as well. And those act as speakers. So that is where some of the sound will come out of the iPad. And then there is also a flat little button, kind of shiny. And that is going to be the lock button or the power button. And this also doubles as a fingerprint sensor. So if you are new to Apple products or you haven't had an Apple product in quite a while, most of them do have fingerprint sensors now. And that is something that you can turn on in the settings of the iPad if you want to kind of get a faster login experience to the iPad and you don't want to have to put in the passcode every time. All you have to do once you have it set up is just set your finger over that sensor and it will unlock the iPad for you. On the right-hand side of the iPad, there are two little flat buttons. These are going to be your volume control. These will also be used if you wish to turn the iPad off to completely power it down. You hold the combination of that fingerprint lock sensor on the top and then the volume up button on the side. If you hold those two simultaneously, the screen will show up with an option that you can slide to power off. So that is how you would utilize that. Moving on to the bottom, we again have those cluster of dots used for speakers. And then right there in the middle is going to be your charging port. So the iPad will come with a charger, and these do have pretty good battery life, but you obviously will still need to charge it and always keep an eye on the battery life of the iPad to make sure that it is charged when you need it. But that will be coming with the iPad. So that's pretty much the basics of the outside of the iPad. Now I am going to go ahead and jump into the internal of the iPad. So when you have the lock screen, you can see here it has the date and time. We just have the background set as the Schmidt logo. And then to actually open the iPad, all you have to do is simply slide your finger up. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to slide that up and it is going to prompt me to put in the passcode. And once I put in that passcode, you can see I am in the iPad. And now I'm going to share my screen. That way you guys can see exactly what I'm going to be looking at here. Okay, there we have it. So as you can see, we have some apps on the screen. Again, there's going to be a training later on that will be more in depth on those specific apps. I'm not really going to focus on that today, but there is everything kind of that you need is preloaded for the most part. So to scroll between the app pages, all you have to do is slide your finger on the screen and you can see those apps are changing. There's different ones on different pages. Um, Kind of a basic walk around of the inside screen of the iPad. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, there is again the date and time. Moving over to the right-hand side, you're going to have your battery as well as the percentage of the battery. So again, this is really good to kind of keep an eye on, make sure that you are not letting your iPad die, especially if you're going to be taking it out of the office for any reason if you're traveling. Remember, you do need approval for that to happen, for the iPad to leave the office. But you do want to keep an eye on that battery percentage. And then also we have a screen lock symbol. I'll go over that in just a moment. So next to that, we have our iPad symbol, or not our iPad symbol, our Wi-Fi symbol, and that is going to tell us that we are connected to Wi-Fi. So if that icon is there in the upper right-hand corner, then we know that we are connected. And then that red icon is only there because I am currently sharing my screen in this Google Meet, so that will not normally be there. So talking about that little circle icon there in the upper right-hand corner, so there is a little menu button that you can, or a menu that you can pull down on the iPad that has some very simple functionality. And I will show you guys how to access that. So again, in that upper right-hand corner, if we just scroll down, you will see it opens up kind of these little boxes. And there you can see there's the Wi-Fi symbol. It's blue lit up. That means that the Wi-Fi is connected. It's turned on. This is also where you can control the brightness of the screen. So that sun icon there will help you adjust the brightness. You can also adjust the volume there next to it. You can also do that again with those side buttons on the right-hand side of the iPad. And then there is the camera icon just below that. If you click on that, it will open up the camera. And then the screen lock icon, which is what was kind of up across the top next to the Wi-Fi symbol just a moment ago. And you can see it's lit up here. It's that lock with the circle around it. So what that does is lock the screen in the current orientation. So as I said, if you are on a Google Meet or something like that, you might want to turn this off so you can rotate your iPad. Right now, that screen lock is on. And what that means is that when I change the iPad, when I'm rotating it, that screen is not changing. It's staying in that same orientation. However, if I shut that off and I turn the iPad horizontally, you can see it moves with whatever way I am turning the iPad. So this is very useful. Some of you may find that you like to use the iPad in a certain way. Some of you might like to hold it up and down. Others might like it horizontal. So that's a personal preference, and you do have the ability to kind of lock that in and, you know, turn it on and off as you would like by utilizing that option there. Now you can also check notifications on the iPad by simply pulling down from the upper area of the home page. So if you just scroll down, this will open the notifications. It looks the same as the home screen, but if I did have any notifications, say an email came through or you know, a Google Meet notification, anything like that, it would show here. Now, another really important thing to be aware of is that you can kind of clear, say, the history of the iPad and apps that you've opened by holding when you are scrolling up. So I will show you guys here. So I'm on my home screen. If I pull up and kind of hold until that screen grays, it will show you the apps that I have used or have had open. And to clear those out, all you have to do is swipe on your finger. So for example, this is the camera down here. I'm going to swipe that up and clear it out. These other two are the Google Meets that I'm currently on for this call, so I'm not going to clear those out. But this is also a really good way if you do have an app that gets kind of stuck or freezes, you can clear it out, and that's going to kind of shut the app down on the iPad for that time. And then you can reopen it, and it should help to, kind of restart the app. All of these apps, most of them, you do have the ability to sign into. You want to make sure that if you are signing into apps on these iPads, the Google app, if you're signing into your Google account or Ring Central, anything like that, you want to make sure that you're signing out when you're done utilizing the iPad. That way, no one else is utilizing this iPad and having access to any of your information. This is especially true if you're in an office where this is going to be utilized by multiple people. You just want to make it a habit to, kind of make sure that if you are logging into something, whether it's via the Safari app, which is the one that looks kind of like a compass down here on the very bottom, or, one of the preloaded apps like Gmail, you want to make sure that you're signing out before you are kind of leaving the iPad or being done with that time that you're using it. Now I'm going to jump into the settings of the iPad really quickly. So down at the very bottom in the right, or not the right, excuse me, the left, next to where that camera icon is, there is a little gear icon, and that is going to be our settings for the iPad. Now, something you may notice if you have previously used an Apple product is that the Apple account is grayed out. So usually that is where you would sign into your iCloud account and be able to sync. However, all of these are preloaded onto a Schmidt account, so you will not be able to sign into any of your own personal accounts for your iCloud. That's not talking about your email account or anything like that, but you will not be able to sync this iPad to your personal iCloud account. So if you don't know much about Apple products, you don't even know what I'm talking about, then you don't need to worry about it. But just know that this is preloaded to a Schmidt family of companies account. And so they will be the ones to kind of help push through updates and make any changes to apps that are on the iPad. Scrolling through here, you can see we have kind of the basic stuff that most devices have. So we have, for example, our Wi-Fi there on the left-hand panel. If your iPad does not automatically connect to the Wi-Fi at your office, you do want to make sure that it does do that. So by clicking into that Wi-Fi section, I would then be able to see the Wi-Fi network that I wanted to and select it, enter in the passcode, and then that blue check mark will appear once you are connected to the Wi-Fi router that you wish to utilize. Beyond that, there is a ton of different settings. You can kind of go in and play with the different stuff, take a look around, see if there's anything that you have questions on or you want to adjust. Now, setting up the fingerprint for the passcode, if you scroll down to where it says Touch ID and passcode, after you enter in the passcode to the iPad, you will then be able to add a fingerprint if you wish to by going to where it says Add a Fingerprint. And like I said, it's just a couple steps. You just have to lay your finger on that sensor. And you do still always have to have a passcode on the iPad as a backup, but the fingerprint can be a good option if you want to have kind of a quicker access and you don't want to have to type in that passcode every time. But it is important that you do keep track of the passcode and never forget what that is, because that is the backup option to get into the iPad. So we want to make sure that we remember what that is. But you do have the ability to add that fingerprint if you would like to. I think that pretty much covers it for just kind of basic usage of the iPad. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, but like I said, there will be a further training that will go into more of the specific apps and what they will be used for. But this is just kind of a quick little walk around of the iPad and everything that it has to offer. So I hope this was beneficial, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.